Hey people, how's it going? It's Rayek here. Let's just go over the facts. Let's talk about what's happened. Personally, I feel a little betrayed. I'm sure anyone still playing the game feels pretty betrayed. Um, I haven't quite decided about my refund status yet. I've been told that Exile is okay in handing them out, but I have not investigated yet myself. So, you know what? Let's start from the beginning. Let's start with what I have up right now, War Inc. I don't know if you guys have heard about this or not. Chances are you have if you've been following any of the War Z scam, controversy, etc. This is basically the game that War Z came from. They say that it's just a... Actually, there's a War Z guy right there, the character model. They say that War Z is supposed to be using the War Inc. engine, but, you know, the more you look at it, the more you realize how similar it really is. And I think, honestly, the most glaring fact to me is the fact that they haven't updated this game since August 7th. August 7th, I'm guessing... That's probably right around when they started working on the War Z for real. Now they're going to say whatever, hey, I've been working on it for 2 years. Well, that seems pretty unlikely considering War Inc. wasn't even around for 2 years. If you want to say we've been working on War Inc. and War Z for 2 years when they said that a couple months ago, maybe that's true. But look at this. So right here, War Z, War Inc. The top's obviously War Z. Just look, it's like all the same on the top. It's extremely lazy design. I can't even really understand how they could just take all of this stuff. Not to mention, look at that in the War Z photo. Skill tree? Yeah, that's obviously not there. Moving on. So let's just look at the War Z website here. It's like, this is what was on the Steam page that got it removed from Steam. You know, you can see it right here. Forget subscriptions, whatever, that's true, obviously. AAA graphics, who are you kidding? Huge persistent world. Each zombie game world has an area of up to 400 square kilometers. They don't even lie, they don't even put it in the 100 to 400 square kilometers. And I'm not even going to talk about the map size right now. We'll talk about that later. Start playing in our first word, Colorado. Yeah, well, you got one thing right. No classes, no levels, and level caps. You say something like that, that implies that that you have some semblance of, like, progression. It says right here, gain experience and spend it to learn dozens of available skills in this zombie game. I still don't see the dozens of available skills. You know, they say it's all in development, but Jesus, it's not in there yet. One of the available characters, customizing them and helping them to navigate through the hostile world. Customizing them? I don't really remember doing that. So then, explore, scavenge, kill, yeah, whatever. Play with friends. It's easy to just play with friends. You can be able to join a group and then automatically join the same zombie server together. Oh, that seems like a nice feature. Too bad it's not there. Let's move on to probably the first controversy that happened with the War Z. First big controversy. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy beforehand. But I'm talking about this post right here. Devin H. He was a moderator on the War Z forums. He got hacked, and he basically, the hacker, whoever got his account, whatever, went in and, you know, just deleted tons of threads. I remember browsing the forums that day, and that shit was going down. I was like afraid to post. I thought I would get banned by the little stupid hacker. Anyway, you can read right here. It says, Sergi took it upon himself to tell Kook to demote me for my screw up. Blah blah. this is all obviously real. Your account was deleted because your payment was refunded or canceled. Well, he didn't even do that. So, like, they obviously banned him, but he didn't do the refund. He had a screenshot right here. You can see the payment. He put a thing of his payment activity, and look, he paid it right there. No refund. So he posted this on November 19th. The thread is from, it was from that time, around that time. Now, this at first to me was very glaring. I was like, oh God, like, no, I can't believe Warzy would do this. Saying something like they plan to halt development and abandon the game in 6 months. Well, that might be true, but then again, why would the Warzy developers, senior producers, be telling a volunteer moderator all of their business plan? That's not going to happen. I can't. This thread, it has some truth to it. Obviously, they blamed Devin for his mistake, but you can't say something like that. That is just clearly a lie. Whether or not they plan to halt the development or not, we'll see. So let's talk about the forums. I've had some interesting experiences on the forums. I actually received a nice warning for a thread that literally made no sense. I replied to this moderator. Actually, look, he's not even a moderator anymore. Probably because he's an idiot, and he was the worst moderator that I've ever seen. He actually made a post saying that he doesn't have time to sift through the forums. And that's exactly what he was hired to do. Sorry, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the fact that the moderators just got out of hand. They did a little hiring process. Kook, in his infinite wisdom, decided to hire all these basically fanboy mods. And yeah, I'm allowed to say fanboy, but I can't say it on the forums. Literally, you can't say the word fanboy. That is a forum rule. Pretty retarded. Anyway, he hired all these fanboy mods, and they literally would delete any thread. I had a thread that was... I posted a thread. I said, is Hammerpoint hiring? And apparently the thread got deleted. They said I PM'd Warren, who is the only moderator I actually have probably any respect for. And he said the mod that deleted it said that it was completely derailed. That thread probably had about 8 posts in it. And not only was it not derailed, most of these posts were talking about whether or not they were hiring and how to get in contact with them. So that's just a lie. Anyway, Warren, trying to help me out, he said to send Sergi, Kook, or Johnny Truant a PM asking about Hammerpoint's hiring status. Now I did this. I sent a couple ones. Sent one to Johnny Truant 2 weeks ago. Said, hey, is Hammerpoint hiring? I have job experience, blah, blah, blah. And I do. I was legitimately curious if they were hiring. And I didn't hear anything back from Johnny. After talking to Warren, he told me to PM Kook, so I PM Kook. Sent him basically the same thing. I have experience in software development, and I would be interested in applying for a job. And I wasn't able to PM Sergi because they disabled it for him. Apparently he was getting too much hate mail or something. Finally, I got a message from Warren. He said they're not recruiting at the moment. We actually have a moderator trying to get in right now too, and they've confirmed that they are not looking for any further staff in any field. This, to me, sent up a really big red flag. How can you take on hundreds of thousands of customers like that, just instantly, and not expand at all? This is the reason why they are progressing so slowly. They have 5 to 10 developers, a couple marketing people, a couple of PR people, a couple of customer service people, Kook the idiot managing the forums, and that's it. You got Sergi spreading lies, and that's it. They can't handle this kind of influx, and that's why you're going to see hackers everywhere. They can't stop it. They can't get features out as fast as they say they are because they have to deal with bugs, server stability, because there are so many players playing their game. The fact that they're not hiring more makes me really worry about this company. When you get that kind of popularity, you get that kind of exposure, you expand quick. Riot Games, they've been expanding since freaking beta. And that's because they keep getting more popular. And that's the kind of company that's going to succeed, not Hammerpoint Interactive, which doesn't even have a website. I went looking all over for hiring, job positions, website, anything, contact information, nothing. No website. I found Arctos Interactive, Sergi's brainchild, or lack of brain, and they have a HR and a PR line. You're supposed to email HR line about potential job openings, so I emailed them, and I got back the Damon mailer. So that's not a real email. HR at Arctos Interactive is not an email. They don't have an HR email. PR at Arctos Interactive, I emailed them, asking them about the job, informing them that their HR email is not working. Never heard back from them either. So now I've contacted 2 developers, a company, tried to find different websites, and nothing. No responses from anyone. That, to me, was one of the biggest issues that I saw. Oh, and there's still no account section. There's no spot for you to log into your account on the website, make setting changes. Like, I bought the game for my brother. I wanted to change the email for his email. We can't do that. He has to use my email until they add this account section, which is still not up, after the game is supposed to be released. Let's move on to another red flag I found. This GameSpy interview. This was recently after the Steam release. So let's move a little forward in the timeline. They got the game on Steam. I don't know how. I guess just lying. Sergi couldn't come off as a bigger idiot in this interview. The writer of this article, Dan Stapleton, he asks very good questions. He asks the questions that are basically on everyone's mind. Talking about the, as you can see here, this is what the original Steam page was about the game. And if you scroll down here, you can see what they eventually changed it to. That took them 24 hours. How they make a mistake that big already is pretty crazy. Now, one of my favorite things, favorite quotes from Sergi in this particular interview, which I think you should all read, and I'll have links to all these pages in the description, is right here. GameSpy. Then why was the press release sent out calling it a Foundation release instead of simply a release? Sergi. This is what we call it. There's no such thing as release for an online game. More important, you can't just add Foundation release or any other words to the title of the game on Steam. It's like the War Z is a title of the game. We can, of course, add version in About Game section. So, yeah, first off, he sounds like an idiot. There's no release for an online game? Okay. I guess you've never played an online game before, because I'm pretty sure every single game I've ever played ever online has a release. So there's that. Let's move on here to the Forbes article, which I thought was hilarious. The fact that this controversy made it onto Forbes just tells you how ridiculous this is getting. And pretty much, this sums it up right here, this little summary. War Z capitalized on the hype generated by the DayZ mod, and now that it's live on Steam, gamers are angry over what appears to be false advertising of the game's feature. And just look at the title of this article. Allegations of false advertising hound the War Z release on Steam. You know, cash grab. That's one of the best ways to describe this game, in my opinion. Here's another look at War Z and War Inc. Pretty much just a port over. To say it uses the engine is a bit of an understatement. Here's the false advertising. And, here you go. In an apology, Titov posted the following interview. He continued to blame customers for misreading the Steam page. As the article says, the update did go through, and Valve pulled the game from Steam after just, I don't think, like 72 hours. So I thought that was just hilarious. Alright, like I said earlier, let's talk about the map. I saw this nice little article, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was actually thinking about doing something like this. I wanted to, go in the game, because I always felt like the map was smaller than 100 square kilometers. This guy basically did exactly what I was thinking, and he used math and some simple averaging and timing to figure out that the map is probably about 10 square kilometers. And that's just 10% of what they originally claimed. And even if you, I'll put this link in the description so you guys can read the math. And he discovered that each square is just under 1 square kilometer. And they're just under 1/10 of a square kilometer. And there are roughly 116 squares, which gives us a total of just under 10 square kilometers. He even puts in all the margins of error right here, and he says that at most it could be 40 square kilometers. And that's just not even half of what they're claiming. So, just another lie. After this huge debacle, Steam debacle, finally players are able to tell others the lies that are being spread without censorship on their forums. What can the War Z do to come back from this? This is a thread I started on the forums. It got pretty popular for about a day. People talking about how we can, get this game out of the dumps, how the developers can save some face. And, I basically, from my perspective, they just have to come completely clean, tell everything like it is. And, it's very obviously that's what a joke, right? They can just lie. But, I think that they have to come out and show that everything that they have for the game right now. Sergi keeps talking about this is under wraps. This is still in internal testing. We have 150 servers. We have vehicles. We have skills. It's all there. We're just testing it, right? Well, let's see a dev vlog of all these things. We haven't actually seen any actual in-game footage. So my suggestion was you gotta show this. You gotta show that you are working on this game, and you're not just telling lies to make money. You gotta go through and show the people, And this guy made a very good point. He said you need to open up. You gotta be transparent, and you gotta be there when the players are asking questions, when they're having concerns. You can't just delete the thread. And that is basically what they've been doing. Then later that night, I was browsing the forums some more, and I saw this. A developer actually posting on the forums. He actually started a thread, and he was calling out a mod. And all I gotta say is thank God. He says, which mod deleted the War Z remove from Steam thread? And this just goes to show how piss poor Kook is running in this community. He hires mods. They didn't even put the thread they deleted. This thread had at least 20 pages. They didn't even put it in the mods section. No explanation, just deleted, gone. And a developer called him out. And, I wouldn't be surprised if it was that guy that's no longer a mod. But, he posts a couple in here. He's trying to figure it out. And he wants to talk to the community. And, that gives me some hope. I think there was another mod that might have or dev that might have posted in here. I know there was at least one other dev posting in the forums that night. Some people might say, "Oh, they're just trying to save face, trying to make it seem not as bad as it is." Yeah, maybe they're trying to do that, but at least they're trying to do something. Very easily they could just walk away. Playing this game with friends when you're not getting killed by hackers, it can be pretty fun. And, there's some saving grace, the fact that the devs seem to care a little bit. I just think they need to get rid of Sergi and Kook. And if they do that, they will have a much easier time. They will have earned my respect, and I think they might actually be able to come back from this devastating event. Happy end of the world, everybody.